Welcome to Live for Free, where we are committed to helping you achieve what you want for your life. Take that first step by acknowledging that you're in full control of your situation and your circumstances. It all starts with you. So today you'll be given knowledge that can change your path. Boldly declare that you have the power to make a greater impact on your life and the community around you. Seize the day, and so it is. Hi, this is Tony Wade, the Compassionate Investor. Now today we're going to be talking about the tax sale and specifically looking at the things that you do before you actually do the tax sale. And I've tried to chunk it in like 4 different areas. The first thing, of course, is things you need to think about first before you actually do the tax sale, because clearly you don't want to just go out there and just bid on everything. You need to have a plan. If there's a specific type of property that you're looking for, then focus solely on those. Don't get distracted by everything unless it makes sense. And that's typically what I do. So once I have my list, I go through and knowing exactly what I'm looking for. So those are the type of things you're wanting to focus on. Another thing that I like to do is I like to know specifically who I might partner with as I look at that sale. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get something that's too big for you that you can't handle by yourself. So knowing what resources you have available to you, those are the type of things you need to think about up front so that when you get that list, you know exactly what you're going to do with it. Because clearly you're going to get excited once you get your hands on that list. Another thing I like to think about is if there's a particular area I like to stay in, I'm not going to get something that's way out of my area. I'm going to stay in my specific sweet spot. Your specific sweet spot could be a location or it could be a type of population that you like to work with. So write all of that stuff down and have your thoughts together before you actually get that list. Because once you get that list, that's when the fun begins. Because I like to do a spreadsheet. And you can get it 2 different ways, because when you go to the website, they actually have it in a PDF version most of the time. Depending on what state or county you're in, they could have a spreadsheet for you already created. Now, I have the benefit, I have a guy that already puts it together and he sends it out to a global group of people. I get it from him. And so that it makes at least the base of it the way I want it. And then I go in and add the columns that I'm looking specifically to add to the spreadsheet to make it work. So for instance, when you get it, it's going to be broken down by the actual parcel number, who the owner is, typically how much money they actually owe, all that basic information. But I like to add additional columns because I personally like to track every tax sale. Like what was the opening bid, what was the ending bid, I actually have a link to show me online what the property looks like. I've got notes related to it, but you want to build that spreadsheet to meet your specific needs and also related to like the things you like your niche. So as you're going through the list, you're identifying those properties that meet your goal, and I color code mine. So like those of you know I like to provide housing for those who come out of incarceration and who sometimes have restrictions. So I look specifically for properties that allow me to meet those needs. And that's my first sweet spot. And then I'll go through it again and I'll go looking at it. So as I go looking at the property and it's a hot property, that color will change to another color. It will go from yellow to green because blue would be things that I'm just excited about on the list that aren't necessarily in my sweet spot, but they're really good deals that I want to get after. So I'll color code yellow, green, and blue. Yellow for my niche properties, blue for properties that I like that are really good deals, and green if it's my sweet spot property and it's something I want to buy. So that's how I like to go through and look at the spreadsheets and prepare the spreadsheets before the sale. Now I will tell you, once you get the actual things together, because this is where the biggest part of your legwork is going to be. You're going to be out there going to the properties physically. And let me say, please go out there and check the property out, because don't rely on your Google map search to have you go out and buy a property, because you're going to probably buy a property that has been torn down or demoed. So put your eyes on that property, because that's what you will be buying at the tax sale. I'll also say that as you're doing this process, because you cannot get into these buildings that's a crime to break into the property. So I'm just telling you that right now. But I have known people who, because the door is open, that they actually can see what they're getting when they get into the property. But do the best due diligence that you can to understand the type of property that you are getting. Whether the roof is good, the foundation looks good, how much work will you have to put in. You need to be thinking about all of those numbers when you're looking at these properties. You also need to know whether the property is vacant or if it's occupied. Those are all the type of things you should be looking for as you're out here looking at the properties from this list. And you're preparing this spreadsheet for that purpose. Now, what I like to add is my notes column, because after I've gone out and taken a look at the properties, I like to say this is a hot deal. I'll say if it's a single family, 4-family, I'll say how much money I think I can get for it. There's a website you can go to called totalviewrealestate.com. And when you go there, it'll give you an evaluation on the estimate of what the value of that property is. So when I'm out there bidding, I'm bidding intentionally. So I even have a column telling, what my limits are for how I'm going to bid on that particular property. Because I promise you, once you get to that tax sale, you're going to be caught up with a lot of emotions, and people are out here bidding like crazy. You don't want to be emotional about this. You have to be smart about what your bidding is and what your maximum number is that you will bid on that property as you're bidding, and you stick to that. So when you're doing all that stuff, preparing that spreadsheet for that purpose, that's going to better position you for where you're going to go with this. Now, one thing I want to say, because I actually like doing a few additional things. This has helped me over the past, because as you're doing this, you're going to find other people just like you that are bidding on properties. Now, this is that additional work that you might consider. Let's say that as you're there at the tax sale, because I'm always there getting business cards, finding out who I can partner with. So before the actual tax sale, those people who you're bidding against most of the time, have a conversation. We actually had a tax sale group that we got together twice before a tax sale. We do it first when when it would come out, the list would come out, and we've all identified what we liked, and we would meet and talk about what do you like, and we would establish our guidelines on how we were going to move. And then right before the tax sale, we would have another meeting. And that way you know what you're doing when you get there. Because the one thing you need to understand is when you're bidding on these properties with other people, you keep racking this number up. That number keeps going up to overspending for a property that's not really worth as much. You don't have to take it that high. If you work with somebody or you say, you know what, let's have this agreement, this is what I would bid on it, and they say this is what I bid on it, you let them open it up with the bidding, and when it reaches their threshold, you take over, because now you guys are working in partnership, conceding to each other so the bidding doesn't get crazy at the end. I will do another episode on that so that you can understand that fully on how that works. So this gives you a basic understanding of what you need to do right before the tax sale. And definitely, if you like this type of information and you want to hear some more, go ahead and like me below, subscribe, and then click the little bell so that I can give you more videos whenever they come out. So thank you so much for your time. Give me your comments, and we will see you at the next meeting.